Hi, I'm Ashwin Salia and this is Mahesh Patil and we are from Thunderstruck and we are at Uday Benigal's house. Uday Benigal is the lead singer and the rhythm guitarist for Indiscreet. So we are going to start an interview for Thunderstruck. So the first question is, Indiscreet started off with Rock Machine, so how did the inception for Rock Machine arise?
Rock Machine was actually started by the bass player Mark Selvin and the guitar player Jayesh Gandhi and Manish Namaikar with a few other guys. And it went through a really evolutionary process. I joined them maybe about a year later, and Zubin, the keyboard player, joined a few months after me. And that was in 1984. Basically, Mahesh and Jayesh knew each other during their college years, and they wanted to put a band together. I think they shared a guitar teacher from when they wanted to put a band together. They heard about Mark Selvin, who had a band called Toys before that, which had since disbanded. So they got in touch with him and he put a few people together and they started to play. And about, like I said, a year after that, their singer, Dr. Ian Santhanaya, was quitting and heading to his job in Canada or something. And Mahesh bumped into me at HR college where I was showing somebody how to sing a particular song. And he figured, okay, this guy might just work out. He asked me to audition for the band, which I did. And that's pretty much how it happened.
Okay. So Rock Machine started playing covers and moved on to original compositions. So how did the people receive back then?
See, the thing about playing covers is, and that's usually the normal progression for a band. When you pick up an instrument, the first thing you do is you start to emulate your hero. Play the music that you learn to play the music that you really want to play. India at the time, I mean, the Rolling Stones started as a cover band, the Who started as a cover band, everyone pretty much starts as a cover band. At least not just in those days, even now, that's still they play. You still learn to play Porcupine Tree and Kila Sugar and whatever it is else you're getting into. But those days were not easy for Indian bands that wanted to play their own stuff. But that didn't deter us. So we were really sneaky initially. We used to lie about the songs that we were playing, we had written. And just to overcome the prejudice, because it was a natural bias against the idea of an Indian band writing their own songs, we'd say this is a new song by some American band. No internet, no television, so people didn't know any better. They didn't really the news wasn't as updated as it is these days in such regularity. So they believe us and they were responding really well to the songs, and we let them in on the little joke. And it became a bit of a joke between the audience and us, and it didn't matter because they figured that here's a band that plays music that they like to listen to. And it was just a few concerts in that they were singing some of those songs like Rock and Roll Renegade and Top of the Rock and stuff. So it was good. It was great.
That was amazing.
The lying part, yeah.
Well, sometimes you're going to lie to reveal a larger truth. A little lie for a larger truth.
Yeah. Okay, so how was the transition from Rock Machine to Indiscreet? Because we saw a big, massive change in your approach towards composing music.
The change was, well, all changes is, how do you say it? It's eventful. Yeah. And sometimes it's not very convenient. In this case, it was our choice, so it was good change. But there is turbulence that comes with it, so a lot of people up and down, why are you changing the name? We have the name Rock Machine, this, that, and the other. You're so well known as Rock Machine because we were pretty well known at the time. The reason we did it is we had employed a British manager who we wanted to recruit to take our music outside of India and see what we could do with it. And he very rightfully said a name like Rock Machine belongs to a college band.
Okay.
If you guys want to get more professional, nothing wrong with it, but it's very limiting in the kind of music that you make, and it'll be limiting in the audience that you can reach out to. He said his advice to us was come up with a name that speaks of where you come from and allows you to expand your own music, because we were already experimenting a little bit with Indian instrumentation and things like that. And so Indiscreet was the result of that. And we agreed with him. But we also got a lot of support from, say, MTV. MTV at the time said, we think it's a great name, we think the name change is damn good. We think it's a great name. And we'll do whatever we can to let your fans know that it's the same band. We're just widening their sound. It wasn't changing, it wasn't changing our sound. It was just modifying it to incorporate newer things and newer ideas. As a musician, you evolve as a human being. And therefore, you evolve as a musician as well, hopefully. And part of that process is to start to absorb new ideas and incorporate them. And the more barriers you place around yourself, the more restricting your own happiness is going to be, your own satisfaction from your own music is going to be. So it served us well. And I think word spread soon enough that we're the same band.
MTV helped you out a lot over
MTV helped us a lot, and I think also people are just cool about it. There were some diehards, there were always some traditionalists who.
Even fans back you up a lot.
Sorry?
Even fans back you
The
up.
fans backed us up as well, absolutely. There'll always be a few people who resist change. You'll either learn to accept it or then they'll be unhappy.
We all know that Pretty Child music video catapulted you guys to the new heights. So how special is Pretty Child for you?
But Pretty Child was a special song, it's still a special song, but to be very honest, I don't know why it became so popular. Because for us, a song is a song.
Yeah.
And Pretty Child was another song that we had written that we liked. It's not that we love Pretty Child any more than the other tunes that we had written. And so when it became so popular, we were like very happy about it, but we're still thinking like, okay, that's really nice, but why so popular compared to the other tunes? We really like the other tunes as well. But I'm not going to fight it.
Okay. So how was the experience sharing the stage with Slash and Bon Jovi back then?
It was great. I mean, it was really good. Bon Jovi, they were. It was a fun concert. It was a huge crowd that we played to at the Angeli Sports Complex. Sound was good. Everything was good. Slash was even more fun actually. The Bon Jovi gig was good, but we didn't really see much of the band and stuff. And that's usually how it is. When you're opening for a band, they're there, and sometimes you meet them, sometimes you don't. You're pretty much busy doing your own thing. With Slash, it was much more intimate, it was more personal, because it was the launch of MTV India, MTV International, MTV Asia had changed to and wanted to appeal to India as a sort of geographical entity itself, their audience over there in India. And with Slash being part of that launch for that, we were very happy about it. He's a great guitar player. And he was a really cool guy. So being on stage, playing a few tunes with him, he was really nice and very humble. In fact, first thing he said to us when he showed up was, "Man, this is your gig and I don't want to step on any toes and stuff. I'm just happy playing here and I'm happy being here and playing with you guys, so I hope it's cool." And all of us said, absolutely. I mean, it's more than cool. We're really happy to be on stage with you. Let's make some music. That's really what it was. And that's what it will be with musicians of a certain internal security and a certain caliber. When you are good, when you have gone beyond a certain level of good, and you're secure in the knowledge of that, then humility comes back to you. Until then, it's arrogance and hubris, and that actually is more self-defeating. And to his credit, he was a cool guy. And it was nice that he had somebody walk behind him with a six-pack of beer wherever he went. It's a nice privilege to have. I want to employ someone like that.
I'm sure you'll find someone. In 1997, Indiscreet disbanded, and so how did that decision affect your and other band members' life?
Well, the reason why we called it a day was because, well, for one, we were moved, the music industry had changed a lot in India in ways that we were not happy about. Jayesh, the other guitar player, Jayesh Gandhi and I, we were moving in a slightly different direction in terms of Indian instrumentation and ideas and stuff. Not that we wanted to turn into a fusion band or become or any such thing, but we wanted to work more with those sounds. And some of the other guys in the band weren't as happy. So it was just, these are creative imbalances that happen in the normal course of anybody's life. And you adjust to that. But what had happened also was first the dissatisfaction with the scene in India, and apart from which I was really sick of living in Bombay, very honestly. I was done with it. And I couldn't think of any other place in India that I could live in and be a musician and do the things that I wanted to do. So I said I'm going to move to the US. And I spoke to Jayesh about it. Jayesh and I were also producing a lot of advertising commercials together. And so we were working very closely with each other outside of the band as well. And he said, well, if that's what you're doing, then I'm pretty happy to do it as well. Jayesh already had a green card. So he said, okay, if you get your visa together, I've got a green card, let's go there and let's make music over there together. Since we were on the same page also musically at that time, it's cool. So we told the other guys in the band that, we're kind of done with Bombay and we'd like to move. And they said, why don't we all move? It was our suggestion, yeah. Let's all move. That's the great thing about being younger, you don't think about these things.
Exactly.
Actually, these guys don't think about these things. Fuck it, let's move. So the other guy said, well, that's a great idea, but a couple of us have families now, kids and everything. And besides, so we had a good conversation with each other. And we all came to the idea that while we're still friends, let's put an end to this because, we are in a space right now where we're being pulled apart by different forces. Let's not wait for it to fall apart. Let's make it our own decision. And so we ended as friends. And that's the best way to shut a band down.
On a lighter note, yeah.
Yeah, so every time Jayesh and I would come to India, those guys came to the US, the first guys we would call were the guys from the band. So we stayed friends throughout. And I learned so many years later, when I moved back to Bombay 9 years after that. And I learned the beauty, the wisdom of a clean breakup is that the reunion is that much easier. In fact, it's a no-brainer if you really want to do it. So that's good advice to all lovers and businessmen, whoever else. Break up with a clean air, positively. You can stay friends. If you stay friends, if anybody feels the need to come together again, it's much easier. Whether lovers or business acquaintances.
Okay, so in 2010, after a gap of 17 years, industry reunited for the album Evolve, and you had 8 tracks which were very successful. And this album was very different from previous albums. So, what was so special about this album for you?
What was special is a bunch of things. For one, we were working together with each other. It's Mahesh, Zubin and myself. Mahesh Kanaka is the key guitar player, Zubin Balapur the keyboard player, and I. We were now the 3 original members in this new modified version of Industry. And we were playing together in this format again. So there's a great familiarity with coming back and playing with musicians we've known for so many years. And at the same time, we had about so many years apart making music. So we're discovering new things about each other's music as well, and we're our own individual evolutions. And we also had 2 great musicians join us, 2 young guys. There was Jay Rao Kavi on drums, who's a fantastic drummer, one of the finest drummers in the country today, finest rock drummers, probably the finest rock drummer in the country today. And Rushad Mistry, a remarkable bass player. And these 2 guys were very solid as a rhythm section. And they brought a great energy to the new material as well. One of the other changes was I became pretty much the principal songwriter. In the earlier Avatar, it was there were a few of us contributing to the writing. In this case, just by default, I became the guy who was writing the songs for the most part. But it became a really nice way to explore a new sound. And I say new sound only in the sense of you write what you feel. You write what you know at that point of time in your life. And that's where I was at that time in my life. And it was great that everybody else was on the same page with me and willing to explore the same territory with me. So it was a great adventure. I loved it. I loved the entire process of writing the songs, working those songs into a larger thing with the other guys in the band, each of them investing their own energies, their own ideas, and then finally the whole process of recording it and working with a mixing engineer like Tim Palmer, who is one of the finest engineers in the world, finest mix engineers in the world. So the entire process was just really good. I mean, as with anything, it's got its own life, and you work with it. You work very hard at it. But very fulfilling.
So the story of the Indian rock cannot be told without mentioning Industry. So you guys have
whatever that means.
Yeah. So you guys have practically seen the rock scene evolve in India. So what's your take on that?
I think it's a great time for rock music in India, for non-Bollywood music in India, non-film music in India, I would say, non-film, non-traditional music. So the independent scene, what we refer to as the independent scene in India, which is non-traditional, non-film music. I think it's a fantastic time. There are more bands than I've ever seen in this country. Everyone's playing their own music, which I think is the best thing. If one could bring it down to what is singularly the best thing in the independent music scene today in India, I would say it's the fact that everyone's writing their own music. Because your own personal expression is the most important thing. Because that's when you start to speak the truth. And I say speak the truth in terms of exploring your own inner truth, your own inner self, your own sense of self-worth as a musician, as a human being. The other thing is, no one's afraid of genres. You know, rock bands will bring electronic things in, will bring Hindi things. There's Koshish who are playing as well. A Hindi language progressive rock band, fantastic. The more genres that are broken down and merge with each other without any thought, only with the idea that you are creating what you believe to be true for yourself, that is going to lead you to great output. And that's what's happening in this country today. The great festivals, the great college festivals, Thunderstruck, we're really stoked about coming and playing as well. And there's great more professional festivals, whether it's NH7 or SARC Festival or so many. Zero Festival of Music in Arunachal, there's Storm, there's OMAD, there's so many, Suva Fest, whatever it is. It's a very fertile time in India right now, and I think it's a great time to be
playing
And
right now.
yeah, to be playing in a rock band. I love being in a rock band. I'm still a kid, man.
Yeah, so what comes to your mind when we say Thunderstruck Live the Rock?
I think high energy, man. I think it's going to be loud. And I think Live the Rock is just come out and listen to a couple of rock bands that are going to crank it out. Large and loud.
So all of our college students are excited that Indiscreet is coming to SIS on 9th of January. So do you want to say something to them?
Well, I'd like to say that we are very excited about coming and playing. I mean, Shanmukhananda Hall, we haven't played there in a while, and it's a great auditorium. It's a really big auditorium, so I hope you guys fill up all the seats. It's a fun place to play. And more than anything, for a band, what we really look for is the energy of a crowd, of a live crowd. Of course, it's our job to do what we do well, which we will do as much as we can. And we want that vibe from the audience as well, so we're very stoked about coming and playing. So come on out.
Okay, so that's it from Uday Benegal. So that's it.
Cat.